The partner of a Minneapolis police officer who fatally shot Australian woman Justine Damond says he heard a thump on the officer's squad car right before the shooting and feared a possible ambush. Officer Matthew Harrity's testimony echoed a key claim made by Mohamed Noor's defence attorneys. I spoke with Fox News reporter Paul Blume in Minneapolis a short time ago. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. Matthew Harrity, Mohamed Noor's partner, has taken the stand today. What did he have to say?
An incredible day of testimony here from Mohamed Noor's partner, Matthew Harrity. He was on the stand nearly 5 full hours. He talked about what his recollections were that night, the moments leading up to and after the shooting of Justine Ruzczyk in incredible detail. He talked about being scared for his life in that moment. Whatever had happened at the mouth of that South Minneapolis alley, he was scared for his life as a shadowy figure approached his squad SUV. But the question prosecutors asked was, while you were scared and while you were reaching for your gun, had you determined whether or not lethal force was necessary? And Matthew Harrity said he had not made that determination. It was premature in his mind to fire his weapon, so he didn't shoot. But yet right next to him, his partner, Mohamed Noor, whatever he perceived, he shot out that open driver's side window, striking Justine. So the question now is, after hearing Harrity's explanation, does Mohamed Noor have to take the witness stand in his own defense and explain to this jury of 16 why he fired and his partner did not?
Is Mohamed Noor likely to take the stand at all?
Well, we haven't been told 100%. And in this country, a defendant has the right to make up his own mind to testify or not. But the perception I am getting from legal experts, and just as an observer from the courtroom gallery, having covered a lot of trials in this country, my expectation now is absolutely Mohamed Noor has to take the witness stand, has to explain what he saw versus what Matthew Harrity saw and why he fired that deadly shot.
I understand that the courtroom was played a video from Harrity's body camera and it showed his desperate efforts to save Justine Damond. Can you take us through it?
Very difficult to watch. The judge gave a warning to the courtroom. If anybody was uncomfortable with what they were about to watch, please leave now. Donna Damond, Justine's fiancé, her brother, her sister-in-law, all left the courtroom. Her father and his wife did stay inside, and watching him, it was excruciating. But remember, Mohamed Noor, Matthew Harrity, neither had their body cameras rolling at the time of the gunshot. But clearly, based on the video we watched today, as soon as they got out of their squad, those cameras fired up. It is Justine tragically in the throes of death, her last breaths. We start by seeing Harrity, emergency chest compressions, trying to save the 40-year-old 911 caller's life. You see Mohamed Noor pacing in circles nearby. He eventually, Matthew Harrity convinces Mohamed to get his head together, to come over and help perform CPR, encouraging Mohamed to keep breathing, telling Justine on the ground to keep fighting, keep breathing. Unfortunately, their efforts were unsuccessful. It was incredibly difficult and moving video to watch, but it does give this jury a sense of what was going on in that South Minneapolis alley.
You mentioned that Justine Damond's family has been attending this trial. Have they at all spoken or had anything to say? What's been their reaction?
They have not. We have seen them on several occasions when this graphic evidence is played where they will step out and leave the courtroom. They also, you must remember, have a civil case pending against the city of Minneapolis, against the police officers, against those involved in the loss of Justine. In fact, they've talked about a potential $50 million lawsuit. They have the top flight civil attorney when it comes to police misconduct in our state representing them. He has recommended to this family to stay quiet. Let the criminal case play out. They come and go. They come past our cameras. We respectfully say hello. Reporters have stopped firing questions at them as it's been made clear. They do not want to say anything or do anything that somehow damages the criminal prosecution. We expect them to say something once we get a verdict. And certainly as we go forward, as not only is this family seeking monetary damages, but I really think this is the type of case that can recreate policing, at least here in Minnesota's largest city.
What's been the reaction in the US to this story? It's made news here in Australia, given that Justine was from Australia. But how has it been received in the US?
Well, locally, it's a top news story here in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. In terms of national coverage, we're not necessarily seeing it at this point. Certainly the story and the facts of the case generated headlines across the country initially. The racial component of this police-involved shooting, a Somali-American officer and a white Australian-American gunned down, the race roles were reversed here. So that generated coverage and attention. In the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, sure, it's top of mind, but we have not seen the national television networks flood into this market to follow this trial day in and day out. The big national newspaper here, the New York Times, has reported on it. I think once we get towards the end, Mohamed Noor on the stand, a jury verdict, if this becomes a case where a jury finally says enough is enough, police, you cannot just shoot to kill and ask questions later. If that type of verdict is reached, then I think this story again has that potential to explode across the country.
Fox News reporter Paul Blume live for us in Minneapolis. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.